So, as I'm sure everyone knows that we have a border problem here in America. The border is completely wide open. People from South America and a bunch of different other places are just pouring into the country. There seems to be no end in sight. And so, being that I'm a Christian, I'm on the right side politically. And so I feel like a lot of people kind of already feel like people who are on the right, like their opinions are already formulated and like we already know where everybody stands on that. But I kind of wanted to offer a little bit of a different perspective, not being as a person on the right, not coming as a Republican, but from a fundamental Christian standpoint, and especially as a standpoint as someone who is a soul winner. And so, of course, it's not good that we have an open border. It's not appropriate. The government has completely gone rogue. The fact that they are not protecting us and they're not defending our border, our sovereignty as a country, that should be happening. Of course, I would never disagree with that. But it's not happening. And so what can we do as individuals if something that should be happening is not happening and we don't really have the power to fix it? Ironically enough, it was a Democrat who I believe coined the phrase, but that you should never let a crisis go to waste. And so as a Christian, we should look at the border situation as an opportunity. And so gone are the days when we have to buy passports and go on vans and drive for hours and hours or take flights to witness to people and soul win to people who are from different places, when we can just go down the street and we can go down to little Honduras or little Puerto Rico and do our soul winning there and barely even leave the comfort of our own home. And this was really dawning on me because in my own life, I've been living at this house that we've been renting for a little over a year now. And I have a direct neighbor because it's a duplex. And then there was a house next to us. And when I first moved here, the house was empty. And I really liked that because in front of me is a church and on the other side of me are some trees. And so we didn't really have a whole lot of neighbors. So the neighborhood was very quiet. And just in the last few months, the house to the right of me has people in it now. And I was seeing them and I saw them coming in and out and they were just like lingering on the front porch. Like it's like a house that's been turned into like 4 little apartments. So there's a bunch of people in there. And I was just like seeing them and I was like, oh my gosh, like here they go and they're smoking on the porch and they're being loud and they just got people just hanging out like all hours of the day. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like here we go. And I really wasn't excited about having new neighbors. But one day I was out walking a dog, not my dog, but I take care of dogs. And one of them was outside and he introduced himself to me. And I said, hello, nice to meet you. Told me his name and what he was doing and how he would just come from out of town and he was trying to get a fresh new start in a new area and that he was excited to live here and was just telling me a little bit about him. And I was telling him about the area and we were just getting to know each other. And he was out there smoking and I hate the smell of smoke. But I was just realizing that God is just bringing more people into the area for me to be able to witness to. And then that night, I saw 2 more of the people that live there. And those people, I guess the house is like being turned into like a halfway house. And so some of the people that were there, they're like ex-drug addicts or ex-convicts and they're trying to like going on the path of recovery and stuff. And this is just like a temporary situation. And so I was talking to 2 of those people and they seemed very nice. And we had a nice conversation and I was trying to put my foot in the door. I was like, do you know for sure when you die you're going to go to heaven? And one of them was like, I hope so. And anything less than an emphatic yes is a no. And so I was going to start talking to him, but then he said he had to go inside and make dinner. So I'm like planting seeds. And so my attitude has totally changed towards my new neighbors. And it's like, yeah, they're kind of loud and disruptive a little bit, but I mean, they're souls. These are people that God created and wants them to be saved. And I should have that same attitude. And so bringing that to the greater scale of our country, it's not right that these people who don't belong here are coming in as they are. That is obvious. It's not biblical. It's not godly that these people are coming in here and breaking our laws. I understand that. But this is the card that we've been dealt as Americans. And so the best way to go about it, in my opinion, is that we see these people as the mission field. And so especially if you know Spanish or if you know any of these languages that these people are speaking, then God bless you. You have an advantage. I go out soul winning every week with this lady from my church and every so often, not super often, because I don't live near the border. But every so often I'll meet a family and they only speak Spanish, and I'm trying to translate through my phone, and it's clunky, and I'm not really able to get it out how I want, and so I should be learning Spanish, since these people are coming in here and they're here to stay, it seems like. And so I just want to give Christians a kind of attitude, like there is a silver lining to this, and it's not the fact that they're illegals. I think that it should be the problem. It's the fact that these people coming over here, they're kind of lawless people, because they've already shown that they don't have respect for our laws. And so why would they, become a benefit to our society? And so I feel like a lot of us have that kind of attitude. But, hey, and no one's a good person outside of Christ, and even in Christ, there are none good. But, no one is a decent person outside of Christ. I would much rather live around illegal immigrants who got saved and are now walking in Christ than people who are born and raised third-generation Americans who hate God and don't care about the laws of God. And so there is a light at the end of this tunnel. If Christians actually were to get up and go out and knock doors and go into the highways and the hedges and try to get these people saved and get them discipling, if we had more good churches that were teaching sound doctrine in Spanish, we were helping them, because a lot of them want to learn English. That's another thing too that I found with a little bit of numbers that I've met, but they find it difficult because a lot of them are older, so they're not in school, and so they're just working, and they kind of find a hard time to learn English. But yeah, and so we as Christians, we as soul winners, we can stand in the gap, and we can make a difference. So if these people are going to come here, if they want to be Americans, they want to come into American territory, you better get ready to have your door knocked down by some soul winners and get saved. Because that's what goes on here. And so all hope is not lost, friends. I know that it seems like our country is just turning into a cesspool more and more day by day. And it kind of is. But a lot of that is due to the fact that Christians have dropped the ball when it comes to evangelizing. It's not about being like the world to win the world. It's not about compromising the message. It's about going out and teaching biblical truth and going out and talking to people one-on-one. Even this online stuff is not good enough. We have to go door to door and get people saved and pull them out of the fire. And so I hope that more of us can have the right kind of attitude towards people, because at the end of the day, we're all just sinners who need Christ and who need to be saved. Whether or not we're born in America, we're not in America, speak English or don't. And so, yes, take your Spanish Bible and go out there and get one of these hombres saved.